Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. It's Abs of October Red, and you know what time it is. You know what we're here for. We're going to cut straight to the case. We're going to get down to the details. You know what it is. It's news and reviews, and today it's about the Ali Act, or the Revival Act, passes the House, and what it really means for boxing. I saw an article this morning and it was like, the Muhammad Ali Act, the Reform Act has been passed. That means it's all going to change. No, it isn't. Just like law in the UK, there's stages. It doesn't just pass and then it becomes law. It's passed in the House. I remember, this is bipartisan. This is where both parties actually like the idea of it. We had a couple of dropouts, as we discussed before. I think it was the California State Athletic Commission and USA Boxing. They withdrew. So I was like, oh, this isn't looking too good. And now it's obviously passed. The House has said, yeah, okay, we're going to consider this. We're going to actually think about making it law. So what we're going to discuss is what it really means, who benefits and who doesn't, why the proposed Unified Boxing Organisation, or the UBOs, could reshape the sport, and the dangers behind the exclusive contracts and league-style boxing. And when I say dangers, it's just the magnitude of difference and what effect that can have on the fighters. This is pivotal because it's got this far after a bit of to-in and fro-in, loads of delays, loads of pauses, and then all of a sudden it's now past the House. So it's got the first tick, basically, in about 3 ticks that it's got to go through to become official. So I can only comment on what's there, what the facts are, what the research suggests. So that's what we're going to go through. So the bill passed under the House under suspension of the rules, meaning that a broad bipartisan support, and moved quickly. It's not drawn out. There's no chaos. It's just gone through. But it's only step one. That's why when everyone thinks, oh my God, it's definitely going to become law, or it has become law. No, it hasn't. It's a stage, I was there from the beginning when it was a suggestion, and now the suggestion has got the first tick under the box, and we're going to move from there. So it's still got to go through Senate, and that's where things get political. Potentially could get messy, or you will have people arguing for and against it, so that'll be something interesting to watch as well. So the bill introduces obviously the framework for what's been called the UBO, the Unified Boxing Organisations. I always forget that, I'm like with memory. So what does it mean? It means, and we're going to go back over old ground, so if you're new here, this is good for you. If you're not and you know all about it, well done. It means promotions could sign fighters to exclusive contracts, and exclusive sounds nice on the frame of it. Promotions could introduce their own rankings and titles. Obviously, we've seen the Zuffa belt. That is a new title. That's the new one. And you could see a system that looks more like the UFC. So, I can't sugarcoat this. Basically monopolising it, centralising it. Does that sound better? Because people get nervous when you talk about monopolies. But centralising it. So on top of that, minimum pay per round is introduced. So obviously you can't fall under. I can't remember, so don't quote me on this. But for some reason I've got the figure, and the experts in the chat, because I'm expecting some feedback on this. Was it $650 per round or something like that? That was potentially the minimum, but don't quote me on it. That's a number I've seen before. The one thing that I'm absolutely advocate for when it comes to this is stronger medical protections. Every other week, somebody is dropping due to ill health, whatever it is, from boxing, whether it's now potential CTE. We're seeing people being put into medically induced comas. The list goes on. The news is out there. You don't need me to elaborate on that. So boxing insurance and health for the fighters, to me, is paramount. And if one thing could bend and sway me towards agreeing with this, it would be the health insurance. Allegedly, this one, and this is something that I asked about, but I didn't find that out till later, is more consistent drug testing. Now, we have drug testing. Obviously, we've got UCAD, we've got VADA, we've got WADA, so we have those things in place anyway. But apparently, more consistent drug testing. But we'll see. So when you look at it like that, to me, it's a step forward. To me, that's promising. Minimum pay, it depends what the minimum pay is, but the medical protections and consistent drug testing, to me, those three things there are very good. But it's never really that simple, is it? So not everybody's a winner in boxing, as you know. And right about now, it's not even necessarily about the belts. It's about the names. I've spoken to fighters before, fighters that are good fighters, but they don't necessarily get the credit they deserve because of maybe their fighting style or their social media presence. And I've said to them, you have to fight a name. If you get yourself in position to fight a name, that does wonders for your profile, and that makes you more attractive, because if you're as good as you think you are, you're going to win. So, big promoters and investors, this gives them structure, control, and predictability. And that's how you attract serious money into a sport. We understand that it's heavily invested from the Saudis, but obviously we have to take into consideration that they have more pressing things to deal with at the moment than boxing. So new market entrants, and like I said, the first one, the only one that we've seen so far is Zuffa, which is obviously following the UFC model. And if you've been potentially waiting to enter a boxing with a league system, this is potentially the way that it's going to go. Fighters at the lower level, minimum pay and protections could generally help those who have been overlooked for years. So that is another thing. Like I said, you get them in the spotlight, you give them a name to fight, potentially good for them, but you always have to look at things in the long term. This is potentially where it could get uncomfortable. Please don't take this as fact. Remember, this has got to go now through Senate. It's passed the House, it's got to go through Senate. This is just some probabilities, okay? So all of this is a potential. So when you think about fighter freedom, exclusive contracts sound good until you realize actually what they can become. You're not really navigating your career as an entrepreneur as such because you're under that umbrella. Boxing has this sort of reputation of having like a free market. Even though, don't get me wrong, you do have contracts. You are tied into laws as such, but there is a lot of movement. But when you think about it, potentially with the UFC style, if that's what we're going to say that Zuffa is going to be modelled off, then there's restriction on that freedom. So obviously, we've got the traditional, the four belts, the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO. And what's going to happen with them? Potentially, they're going to try and push them out because they're going to see them as insignificant, and they're going to mold and push everyone to this unified, this UBO basically. But I've said this already, this is old ground. So that is a potential for the belts to be, I don't know, they're kind of like going to disappear into the ether potentially. And this isn't tomorrow, this isn't next week. You're looking at a potential 10 to 15 year plan. That's what I would say. Maybe 10 years, because this seems to be moving a bit quicker than I thought it would. Boxing's always been built on freedom, So potentially that's going to tighten up. If promoters control the rankings and the belts, what's going to happen to the existing systems? They're potentially going to dwindle away, aren't they? Smaller promoters, they could literally become extinct. That's one thing that's worrying as well. And we are seeing, certain promoters or certain managers, they're starting to fade out. Don't get me wrong, we get some coming in, but we are at a pivotal time in boxing. And those that look at stuff from the background and not just the fights on fight nights, you can see that there's a change, a change is happening. If the sport becomes league driven as well, you either fit in or you just don't exist. You can literally get squashed. I can speak to you guys from like a personal like media point of view. When I first came in, obviously I had to fight my way to get my place at the table. But obviously when I started attending events and then certain things starting to change in boxing, and then there was a shift towards smaller media. Say, for example, access to events or potentially getting interviews with certain people. It changed and it's there and everyone can see it. So I'm not, that part isn't cap. That's actually me telling the truth. So the chaos in boxing, it worked because it just is. It's a system. It's an organization. It's a thing that kind of moves its way through time. It evolves and it picks up things along the way. It drops off things along the way. And that's the chaos that we love about boxing, because if there wasn't that chaos, there wouldn't be any opportunity. There wouldn't be any opportunity for like the fighters that you said could be going overlooked. Media outlets like myself, say for example, I can't just walk into Formula One and sit down and have a one-to-one with Lewis Hamilton. This chaos is what has provided opportunity, and that opportunity spans like far and wide. There's people that enjoy watching certain fighters coming through the ranks. There's people that enjoy listening to the smaller media outlets. Because of that chaos, it was allowed to happen. Now I think with tightening this up, I believe that that's going to have a knock-on effect with all of that as well. So when you think about that, it's one system that controls the matchmaking, one structure that controls the rankings, one organization that controls the belts. That isn't boxing as we know it. That's like a controlled system. And then it's like, okay, is that, what is it? Is that progress, or is that power? Consolidation? Is that centralization? All of these things that are going to come into it that could have a knock-on effect. But like I said, this is just passed in the House and we've got stages to go through. So the next stage is obviously Senate. So the lobbying potentially could ramp up, opposition get louder, and details of this will get scrutinized. And all of those points that I've covered there, these will potentially be covered when it goes to Senate by those arguing for and those arguing against. So we can't really get carried on, like twisted over the headlines. We can't do that. We've got to sit back, evaluate. Like I said, I get notifications about this. It's something that I've set up my computer to give me notifications about, because I want to know what's going on with it. So when I saw the article and obviously I got the notification, I was like, okay, let's have a look at it. And when you look at things on the surface, it's like, oh my God, that's it, they're in. No, it's just at the beginning, So it hasn't fixed boxing, as it were. It's opened a new door for potentially a different kind of version of boxing. But one of the questions that, and I'm asking this as a fan, as somebody that's in the media, do we want boxing to stay as it is or become more structured? That question is for me as I deliberate over it, and obviously it's for you guys as well. So let me know. I don't know, what do you think? Do we want a more structured system? If you was in charge of boxing, what would you change? What would you keep the same? I need to hear that feedback from you guys, because basically it looks like we're not going to get both. We might have both for a bit. There's going to be a power struggle and one will eventually win. So once again, the Ali Act revival, the Revival Ali Act, sorry, get my words out properly, has passed the House. Is it the future of boxing or the beginning of control? So let me know what you think, guys. I thought I'd do that one for now. I noticed that Eddie Hearn has extended his partnership with Riyadh Season. Interesting. I think when I speak to Eddie, I've been trying to get him all week, but I know he's been training with Anthony Joshua, as you can see on the social media. I'd like to ask him about that, especially in light of what's happened with Conor Benn going to Zuffa. I see that Conor Benn's done a detailed conversation with Adam Catterall, who I really like his style of questioning. So I need to catch up and hear what he said. We can all pick out highlights and pick those apart. I'll listen to the full conversation on what he said. Then obviously the Ring reporting on itself says that obviously sources say that Eddie's extended his deal with Riyadh Season. So a couple of questions for Eddie I've got. But let me know what you guys think anyway. But for now, I'm going to get off because I've got to get to Manchester because obviously we've got the Magnificent Seven press conference. Hopefully I'll get you guys some good content there. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And as we say at October Red, stay ready.